Good morning and welcome to our third lecture. Today, we'll get into more action. And action and interaction here means JavaScript. Okay, so first thing we need to make sure of is to see if our server is running. Here XAMPP, and we check the Apache server and it's running. So let's go to the file, the HTML file that we've created in our last lecture. Here it has all these tags, but this button has something that we're interested in. This button has this something called on click alert hello. So let's go to our page and refresh, and when you click the button it says hello. This is JavaScript. This is an alert that comes from JavaScript, and this JavaScript code is put here. On click, you run this little piece of JavaScript. Where else can it go? You can go like this. You can go script and close the script tag, and then make another alert which says open from script, and then we refresh and it tells you that this is a JavaScript alert that is open from this script tag. Not bad. Where else can it be? It can be from an external file. So let's, for example, create an external file and we'll call it external.js and save it, and then make another alert and say from external, and then save it, and then go back to our test.html. Maybe we'll not need this for now. Let's comment it, and instead we'll create something else. We'll create another script tag with a source that's pointing to the external file that we've just created, external.js, and then script. So let's save it again and let's refresh it, and now it's telling you that this alert is coming from an external file. These are the three main places that you can use JavaScript. Of course, when you're trying to organize your code and your project, maybe you'll need to put your JavaScript in more in different directories. So for example, if we have another directory here, let's call it JS, we can move the external file here, and then when we try to run our page, it will tell us it cannot find this external.js. So what we need to do here is to specify the directory that is in. So we can say that it is under JS external.js. So let's try it again, and now it's working. For more complicated projects, maybe you can even put the file at a different directory. So for example, let's copy this file and go outside and put it somewhere outside. So we paste it here. And now you can, when you want to access it, all you need to do is to put these two dots and it will point to the one that's outside. So let's see. And it's loading from external. So that's good. Now we know where does JavaScript fits in the web page. Let's see now how can we use it. Let's go back to our friend, the JavaScript console. We've just seen a while ago that this console can display to you the errors if there's something that's not located or there is a problem with the JavaScript, it shows it here. And we're going to use it a lot in this course to show a lot of debugging and investigation into the code. So let's also use it to explain some of the fundamental concepts of JavaScript. For example, the most important concept of any programming language is the concept of a variable. Variable is something that you can say like score, for example, is equal to 10. So you've created a variable called score and you give it a value which is 10. And this score now has a value of 10. If you want and add more to it, so score plus 10, it's 20. And this can be in a more abstract, like you can say A is equal to 5 and B is equal to 4. So find me A plus B. So now you can make some mathematics with it. Or you can make a third variable called C, called A, that is A plus B. So C is 9. It can also be a string variable, which you can say like name is equal to John, for example. So now you have a variable called name and the value that's inside is called John. You can have another variable called last name and you can make it with a value of Smith, for example. So you have a name and a last name. How about we put them together? Let's say name plus last name. Here you see one of the good examples. If you make a mistake in the variable name, it will give you an error. So let's make it again, name plus last name. Make sure you spell it correctly. So it's giving you John Smith, but that's may not be something that we want because we want a space that in between. So you can say John plus space plus last name, John space Smith, and we can create a new variable out of this. Full name is equal to name plus last name with the space. Good. So now you are aware of two types of variables: number variables and string variables. Each of them have different ways of handling them. How about if we combine them both? For example, you can say like the variable P is points and the value of score is equal to 10. So how about we say like score message? You can say score plus P. It gives you 10 points. And then space 10 space points. So now you know how to combine both of them together. This is very important because all of what we're going to do, whether in games or in business applications, is going to be dependent on storing values of things into variables. And this is what we're going to do. There is another very important type of variable which is called Boolean. This is basically something that is right or wrong, true or false, yes or no. So let's say, for example, 10 greater than 2. When you give it to the code like this, it will need to evaluate this statement and say, is 10 really greater than 2? Yes, so it says true. How about we say 2 is greater than 10? No, that's false. So how about 5 is less than 6? That's true. So how about we find a variable that is a called 5 and b called 6 and say a is less than b. That's true. Or you can say like something like age is equal to 15 and minimum age is equal to 18. So is age greater than minimum age? False. So you cannot get to the pub. Anyway, this is very simple approach to how you can understand the variables and their meaning in JavaScript or any programming language. You have variables and each variable has a value, and these values you can have operations on them. These operations can be mathematical operations like adding or subtracting or dividing or multiplying, and they can be string operations like what we had in the adding the first name to the last name, which can be called concatenating, and it can have other string operations, or they can be logical operations like this variable or this value is greater than this value or not, or you can check if they are equal. Is a equal to b? And see here that this is not the same equal as that we had above. It's actually a logical equal, which means like, is a the same as b? False. No, they're not the same. Is a equal to 5? True. Is b equal to 6? True. That's how this check works. Okay, we have also two very important types of variables that we're going to talk about. One of them is a list. So we have something like a list of variables, which is list 1, 5, 6, 8, 89, 9. So you can put an array or a list of items into this variable. In order to access some of them, you can say like list 0, which is the first item of the list, it gives you 1. List 4, which is at position 4, which is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Always start counting from 0, and then it gives you this 49. You can make it out of variables, so you can say like a is equal to 6 and j is equal to 8 and l is equal to 9, and you can make your list out of these variables. List equal to a, j, l. Now it's giving you their equivalent values. The other very important variable type is called object. So we can say like ob is equal to this kind of brackets, these curly brackets, tell the code that this variable is an object. What does an object mean? It means that it can have different properties. For example, you can say like object ob and put name in it. We say John Smith. How about we give it an age? 25. How about we give it a city? New York. So you have now an object that contains these different information about this particular person or entity. So when we check it, it gives you this object. Name John Smith, age 25, city New York. That's good. So these variables are very important and we're going to use them a lot. So in this lecture, we have learned about JavaScript, where it is in the code and how to use it and the variable types and few more things. Next lectures, we're going to take it further and see how it fits in the app building process. Thank you so much and see you next lecture.